Do we like Krakow, Poland? Does the Pope wear a funny hat?
As a matter of fact, he does, and he's from here. At least this Pope is.
He loved it when you called him Big Papa.
And that is just one fascinating fact about this fantastic place where fun is not in short supply.
It's a good thing I'm not very tall.
We'll take you to the top of Krakow for a sunset view.
It is a place with, hands down, if you ask me, the best old town in all of Europe. And we're taking you hundreds of feet below the city to see if this old mine is worth its salt. And wait till you see the blue lake at the very bottom. Warning though, hope you like stairs. Lots and lots and lots of them.
And we'll take you inside the small factory made famous by Steven Spielberg that made a big difference during World War II.
From the solemn to the serene to the sensational, Krakow has it all, and we're showing it to you in this episode of Window Seat. All right, so you know the drill by now. Just landed Krakow, Poland, as usual. Only have a few hours here, less than a day, and we got to count down sort of the 5 best things to do in this city, which is kind of hard to narrow down because this is really one of the greatest cities in this part of Europe, certainly the best in all of Poland. I love this place, couldn't wait to get back, and so I had to narrow down the list. What 5 things could we do in just a short period of time? And I think I've got a pretty good list. Let's do it.
Between the suites and the museums and the awesome architecture and the suites and the fantastic history and the suites, it's hard to narrow it down to just 5, but let's do it.
All right, first up on the list, we are going historic because there's so much history right here, and some painful history too when it comes to World War II, which is why you've got to go to the Oskar Schindler Enamel Factory.
As you may or may not know, it is one of the most significant historical sites when it comes to saving lives during World War II. Oskar Schindler, whose story was made famous in the Steven Spielberg movie Schindler's List, owned the factory and produced enamelware, cookware, and utensils, employing Jewish people to help in the manufacturing.
The people who worked at Schindler's factory were some of the lucky ones. They got bigger food rations, more pleasant working conditions, but it was far from pleasant in there for sure. There were outbreaks of lice, dysentery, typhus. It was horrible to say the least, but he amazingly was able to save about 1,000 lives during World War II.
Oskar Schindler compiled his now famous list of workers who would be relocated to a safer area, saved from the fate that met 6 million Jews by the end of the war.
It really is a fascinating portrait of a man who was very complicated and flawed. He was far from perfect. If you've seen the movie or read anything about him, you know that. But he did the right thing in the right moment, and he saved a lot of lives, and that makes him a hero. And certainly the folks here in Krakow are proud of him. A couple of tips: if you do go to the museum, you might want to buy those tickets in advance because the line is long and it takes a while to get in there. It's a little cumbersome. It's also very hot inside and it's crowded. So just plan on checking your coat in the cloakroom and giving yourself some extra time to explore the place because it's going to take a while.
They offer guided tours. Tickets start at about $17 US, and believe me, it is worth it.
It is such an important part of history and so fabulously captured on the screen by Steven Spielberg, and if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but go check it out. All right, number 2 on the list, we are going far beneath the city of Krakow, Poland. We're talking hundreds of feet. Get ready for some stairs.
And when I say some stairs, I mean hundreds of them, about 800 to be exact, all of them to get to the bottom of a very cool, quite literally cool, attraction beneath Poland.
So the place produced table salt, the kind that they put on this Polish spread that I'm eating right now, for years and years and years. They finally stopped doing that a few decades ago, but it is a labyrinth of tunnels underneath the ground. The deepest one's about 1,000 feet underground. There's lakes and all kinds of weird, crazy stuff down there. We're gonna go check it out.
The salt mine dates back to the 13th century and was one of the world's oldest operational salt mines until they ceased production in 1996 because of declining salt sales and flooding concerns. For centuries, salt was known as white gold in Poland, and it was a key source of wealth here. And in this mine, it's everywhere, from the ceilings to the walls to these unbelievable chambers hundreds of feet below the surface. More than 20 chambers adorned with intricate carvings and sculptures made entirely of salt, like St. Kinga's Chapel, a breathtaking chapel carved of salt, replete with salt chandeliers, altars, religious statues. It is an iconic part of the tour. There's also old equipment down here in the caves to show you the process of mining the salt.
One word of warning, there are going to be long lines when you come here. I was greeted with hundreds of people waiting in front of me. Our tour guide told us that on a busy day in the summer, 8,000 people come here to tour the mine. They say they get about 2 million visitors every year. It's got to be one of the most busy attractions in all of Krakow. So just know that going in. There's going to be a lot of people here.
And why wouldn't they come? I mean, just look at this place. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is objectively awesome, especially when you get to the chambers filled with aqua blue salt water. A lake down here, a striking and stunning and unforgettable sight.
The place is pretty magical. I mean, it's chamber after chamber of really interesting art and artifacts. The story of this salt mine throughout the centuries and how it helped bring wealth and riches to Poland. It's really fascinating. I will say this though, I think moderation would be key because this thing lasts too long. I'll just be honest with you. The tour takes 2 to 2.5 hours. It drones on and on. I mean, I get it. Once you've been in 1 or 2 rooms, you're kind of like, very cool. But it just keeps going, and it goes a little more and a little more and a little more. So they are exhaustive in their efforts to inform you about the history of this salt mine. So kudos to them, but man, you got to really like salt if you're going to stay interested for 2.5 hours on this. So yeah, there you have it. If you're coming to Krakow, just get in a cab or an Uber. It'll take you about 15-20 minutes from the city center to get out here to the salt mine, and you won't regret it. It's a memorable experience, no two ways about it. All right, let's keep this list going. All right, next up on the list, honestly, this could be the only thing on your list if you have just a few hours here in Krakow. Come down to Old Town. Everywhere you turn, 360-degree views like that. It is sensational, and there's so many things to do. Restaurants, shops, bars, museums, hotels, churches. It's got it all.
And there's no better place to start than in Market Square, one of the largest medieval town squares in Europe, dating all the way back to the 13th century. Everywhere you look, there's stunning architecture like Cloth Hall, dead center in the square, a Renaissance-era structure that served as a major trade hub and is now home to Polish art and souvenir kiosks. Then there's the breathtaking St. Mary's Basilica, known as the Pope's Church because Pope John Paul II is said to have given sermons here before becoming leader of the Catholic faith. It is always teeming with tourists, but I got a special treat early in the morning when I got to see the trumpeter high atop the church belting out St. Mary's trumpet call. It's a 5-note bugle call played every hour on the hour 4 times, once in each direction. You can even see him wave to us when he's done.
Here's another pro tip. If you want the Old Town all to yourself, come back early in the morning. The place is abandoned, and it is beautiful without all the mayhem. It's pretty great.
Also right in the middle of Market Square, you'll find Town Hall Tower, or the Leaning Tower of Krakow. They say this thing leans about 22 inches to the east because the ground has been shifting below it for centuries. But you'd never know. It seems stable to me. It is the last remnant of Krakow's original town hall. Constructed in the late 13th century, it stands 230 feet tall, and you can take the narrow set of 100 steps all the way to the top. Just watch your noggin.
This is the one time I'm thankful I'm not very tall.
Once you finally make it to the top, you can stand on one of the viewing platforms facing each direction and get a bird's-eye view of Krakow down below. I love this town, and seeing it from this angle all the way up here with those breathtaking views of Market Square and St. Mary's makes it all the more unforgettable. This truly is a highlight of Old Town.
Once again, that tower is not for the faint of heart or the physically weak. Those steps are a force to be reckoned with. But if you can maneuver the stairs, it only costs like $4 to go to the top, and you get a pretty sweet view of Old Town right here in Krakow. And I lucked out because I went right around sunset, so it was just perfect.
Another major highlight, the Royal Castle, one of Poland's most important historical and cultural landmarks. Situated atop a hill overlooking the river, it is steeped in history. And if you're coming to Krakow, you gotta see it. The first buildings appeared here in the 10th century, and its golden age came between the 14th and 16th centuries. After the capital of Poland was moved to Warsaw in the late 16th century, this castle's relevance did decline, but it is now restored, and it's a real symbol of national pride. This is where coronations, weddings, burials, they've all taken place, and where legend has it a fierce dragon once lived, terrorizing the city until it was slain, either by a shoemaker or a prince, depending on which version of the story you hear and believe. Just one more great thing to see in this truly terrific part of the city.
Most every big European city has their old town square, and they're all great, but I'm telling you, I've been to a lot, and I'm not sure that anyone is better than the one right here in Krakow. It is mind-boggling. It's so beautiful and so fun, and really any time of year, it's got it going on. Like in the summer, there are crowds gathered out here, dining outside, having beers, watching people, and then when winter comes and Christmas comes, the Christmas market here is unforgettable. So yeah, if you've just got a few hours in Krakow, don't know what to do, come to Old Town. This is the place, and it will make for an unforgettable experience in this unforgettable city. All right, it's time for number 4 on our list.
And number 4 should immediately move up to number 1 if you're at all a fan of sweets, because I devoured 4 of these in the course of just 24 hours. And I blame a number of factors for that. For one, these pączki, as they're called, are everywhere, literally on every corner, around every street, especially in Old Town. And you can often identify them by the long lines that form outside the front door of the restaurant selling them. They are magnificent donut-like concoctions of fried dough, soft, fluffy, usually filled with jam or custard or fruit preserves, topped with icing or glaze. They're wonderful, and they are especially popular apparently on Fat Thursday, or the Thursday before Lent, when people indulge before the fasting period begins. They're a Polish delicacy, and I cannot wait to go back to Poland just to have some more.
Those fabulous treats everywhere you turn in this city. There's nothing bad to eat in this place, so be prepared to wear some elastic waistband pants when you come here.
They are not the only sweet treats you'll find here in Krakow. Like any tourist town, they have bake shops chock full of croissants and danishes and delights of every shape and size, but for my money, it does not get any better than a pączki. All right, finally, as we round out our list of favorite things in Krakow, Poland, let's go souvenir shopping.
And there's one specific souvenir that you should keep an eye out for, and it's not hard to find.
We're talking about the abundance of gifts graced with the face of His Holiness Pope John Paul II. Souvenirs with the only Polish pope in history can be found in every souvenir shop, and merchandise bearing his visage is still big business here. He was popular and beloved during his nearly 27-year reign as pope before he died in 2007, and he was arguably the most visible pope in history with his world travels. Plus, he is a hometown boy, so be sure to take home a little piece of the pope when you leave Krakow.
All right, that is it for this episode of Window Seat. We've only had a few hours here in Krakow, Poland, and I think we've done what we could do in that short period of time. If you haven't been here, you've got to come. This is one of the great cities of Europe, certainly Eastern Europe, and as I said, one of the best old towns there ever was. So come check it out. That's it for this episode of Window Seat. We're back with a brand new episode next Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, we'd love it if you'd like and share our videos and hit subscribe so we can keep this journey going as we try and travel to every country on the planet. We'll see you next time. Check out one of these other videos, by the way, from Window Seat.